Hello, everyone. Welcome to our K-1 and Pass-Through Entities series. I'm Dave Stoffaker, the Senior Credit Trainer with Lenders Online Training, where we help lending and credit professionals say yes to good loans and sometimes maybe say no to things that might not be just right. Linda Keith, our company's founder and Chief Credit Training Officer, is with me here today. Hi, Linda. How are you?
Oh, hello. I'm doing well. Thank you.
Linda, over the last few months where we really got into a lot of these questions on our K-1 series, which is interesting because we've been receiving so many questions from our viewers. Now, this one I had to paraphrase a little bit. It was kind of interesting. It was like, how and when would you buck your bank's guidelines? And I was kind of like, sit back. How would you do that? That's interesting.
And should you?
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you, I can imagine someone listening to this series who actually was thinking about hiring us and then saw this topic and went, oh, wait, what? Wait, what? No, are they telling people to do that? So, my question back is, are we really bucking the guidelines or are we actually using judgment? Because my take is that senior credit folks do want the junior credit folks to develop the ability to apply judgment to a guideline and at least notice if there's something anomalous on this one, something that might be different, might be a factor that we should consider, and then bring it to that senior person and say, gee, this is what I've noticed, what should we do? So part of it really is, are the guidelines at your financial institution guides, or are they hard and fast rules? We will never do that, never ever. We just don't do it, versus we don't generally do it. Although if there's something unusual, maybe we would consider it. So hard and fast rules or guides, that really does make a difference in that question. Do you, or when do you, or how do you buck the guidelines? So David, what are our two favorite responses to lenders questions and lenders online training?
No, Linda, I should probably get a t-shirt made. First one will say, it depends. And on the back, it'll say, check your guidelines. I say that all the time with kind of a little bit of a chuckle. I mean, in my training classes, I choose an approach. We talk about guidelines somewhat generally and allow students to go through the case studies, which are very comprehensive from their perspective. How would their bank do it? How would their institution do that? Now, I would comment from my perspective on how I would look at it from Lenders Online Training, from my experience, and we have conversations. So this is where we get into the judgment area, allowing people to talk back and forth. In some of our groups, we probably have 1, 2, 3, 4 people from variety of institutions talking amongst themselves. So it's interesting, the collaboration, saying, oh, we do it this way, or have you ever thought about this? It's a great conversation. So our senior trainers, you, myself, Robert, when he was here, we talked about, we would rotate. We would go to all these rooms to listen from the perspective of our students, which quite honestly, from my perspective, I really enjoyed those conversations. And I learned how different institutions look at credit, how they view credit, certain areas where their judgment came in and how they justified why they did what they did. And I thought that was excellent learning experience. So basically, in essence, we let our students, when they go through the case studies, take it from their guidelines. How would their bank do it? And then we would have the conversation back. And our students really go away with a very, very confident understanding as they know their guidelines, but they know there may be other ways. And maybe there's ways that they can talk and discuss that with their senior mentors and say, have we ever thought about doing this? And I find it very interesting in the learning process with our students is, there's always other options, at least if you talk it out. Does it make sense? So, Linda, do we really tell our students, do we tell our lenders to buck their systems, buck their guidelines?
No, but we definitely say understand your guidelines. Is that one of your two things? Understand your guidelines. What are your guidelines? Number two, are they hard and fast rules, or are they guides? And the only way they'll find that out is when they go to their manager and say, in Lenders Online Training, they talked about this way of looking at capital gains that maybe we could use even if they didn't take any this year. Do we ever do this? And that way they will develop their understanding of some of the options that they might have. In all cases, though, I would be shocked if a senior credit analyst didn't want their junior less experienced folks to spot anomalies, to spot red flags, to spot a situation where this time using that guideline doesn't really seem to represent what's going on. Are there, this is what I saw, what should I do with that? Because as soon as possible, we want to get folks from just number crunching, putting numbers into a worksheet or software, to actually understanding the credit, understanding the borrower, understanding the risk, understanding how we can mitigate that and what might happen in the near future. So buck the guidelines, no, but understand the guidelines, understand if there is flexibility there, and understand how to bring it up with your manager or in your write-up on the deal. And in fact, we have a module on the write-up, which is all about taking the numbers and putting it into narrative. And that is one of the things we work on in class, but we encourage people to start. In fact, we tell them, go to your manager and ask them, who is it in our team that writes the best write-ups? And then read those and see what are they doing outside of this number's up, that number's down. We call it elevator analysis. It is not analysis at all. How are we getting information from this? And again, I think that's where we're headed. It's certainly where we push our trainees and lenders online training. You got to have the numbers. Everybody starts there, but you've got to move to understanding as quick as possible. And part of that is, when are my guidelines just guides, and when are they hard and fast rules that we just simply are not going to break? That's it for today. We have a way to ask us questions, experts at lendersonlinetraining.com. So if you have a question that will either end up in a live stream or on one of our Ask the Expert emails, feel free to ask. We always answer you, and then we may certainly use that for kind of this drip learning through the live streams and such. In addition to that, lendersonlinetraining.com/ask the expert is the way you actually set up for the Ask the Expert emails once a week. Subject line tells you the question. Ignore it if you don't care. Pass it to your team if you got it, but somebody else might not. And then, as Suzanne put up a moment ago, lendersonlinetraining.com/talk. And that is the way to find out if this is a good fit for your training personally, for your team, or for your financial institution. David, it was a shorter one. How about that? I'm amazed. Thanks, everybody. See you next week.